Recording? Hello? Okay, I don't know if I'm recording or not. Okay, Contagia? Okay, there we go. Oh, it is recording. Okay, so we are recording. I'll go back into my machine. Okay. This one. Killing me. You're just killing me. Alright. It's been the story of my life here. Okay, so now I should have my machine back. Okay, here we are. Alright, WDS. We set our machines up, all of us, as a WDS server. Okay. The problem we were having is we couldn't create an image. Okay. The way this works is we need an image. And normally what you do is you actually take a Windows CD-ROM or DVD and actually copy it to it. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't need to walk through it because it won't complete anyway. I'm just going to show you how that works. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to our file server. Maybe. Oh, I spelled it wrong. It's not filer server. It's file. Okay. Under student Dropbox, I have a file in here called this x64 capture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my boot images, because with WDS for Windows deployment services, you need something the machine can boot to. Okay. So when you guys are the clients out there, the server has to have something that when you connect to me, you can boot to. And that's where you go in here and you say add boot image. Okay. And it wants to know where it's at. It's actually on. Come on. Okay. File server 1. I know. Just come on. File server 1, student Dropbox. What I'm doing is I'm pointing to the image that comes with your DVD, your Windows DVD. Okay? Okay, so I'm telling you where to get it from. I'm going to call it the same name. That's fine. That doesn't matter. This is the capture image for x64 systems. And what it's doing now is it's taking that image that was copied off the DVD and it's copying it to my machine. Okay? Shouldn't take but a minute. All right. Then it's here. Okay. Now at this point you could actually create a capture image. Okay. What a capture image is now, that's what we already did, but we can create more of them. We can create a discover image, we can create a capture image, but I want to show you how they work. Okay. So you add a capture image to your machine, and then you go into your server, and this is the part that won't work on this machine. You basically tell it to respond to clients. Okay. So now what would happen is the clients would connect to me with Pixie Boot, we talked about that already, and would automatically pull down that image and start installing it. What it is a small version of Windows. It's a very base, very teeny tiny version of Windows that gives the ability to capture a machine. And what I would do, say I'm going to go to Roy's machine over there. I'd run sysprep on it, which we'll look at in a second. Get Roy's machine all configured, because that's when I want to get the image from, okay? I'd run sysprep on it. What sysprep does, it stands for system preparation. You know when you first install Windows, you give it a name, you give it all the settings, it removes all that. Basically gets it back to the beginning, where you first install Windows. So I'd run sysprep on Roy's machine over there. And then I'd have his machine boot to the network, would connect to me, would download that capture image I just put on there, and you'd boot to it. Then we'd say, hey, we want to capture. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, okay? So I'm going to show it. I'm going to pretend that I'm the client going to do the installing, just so you can get an idea of what it looks like, okay? Turn mine off real quick. So we can't get this to work totally because we don't have the right configuration, and I don't want to run sysprep to kill my machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my machine here. Since we're running VMware, I'm going to tell it to boot to the BIOS. And VMware is kind of nice. I can tell it, hey, the next time it boots, automatically go into the BIOS. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to tell it, okay, open the console, start my machine. Now my machine is going to boot straight into the BIOS. Maybe. There it is. Now I'm in the BIOS. I'm going to go over to the boot options. I'm going to tell it to boot to the network. Oh, you know, this is before I added the other network card. So hopefully, if it doesn't fix it, I'll see. And we had an issue with network cards as well over the last week.
That one's still on.
Let's see if it detects it. It might work. Come on. Come on, baby. Please, please, please. Okay, it found it. Nice. It actually connected to it. Okay. So what it did was, this connected to our actual WDS server. Okay, or Windows deployment server. So I'm going to tell it, capture, install image. Pretend my machine's a client or something that's all configured. So I want to capture it to push it out to other people. So I'm going to capture it. What it's doing now is, see if you notice, there's that x64 capture image. It's actually downloading that image to this machine via the network. And it's going to boot up here to Windows in a second. Okay, we tried to get it to work so we could be our own DHCP server, but it wouldn't work. And it's just not configured right. So, come on. So it's actually booting Windows now. Almost there. Okay. The next thing is, okay, we're going to run the captured wizard. Now, this is not going to totally work either, but just so you get an idea of what would happen, you say next. Okay, we're running off that boot image we just downloaded. Come on. Hello. Well. Great. Did you do something, Roy? There it goes. Okay. All right. Now give it a name, like, you know, Ken's machine. Now, here's the part I can't show you. Okay. With this volume to capture, if I had run sysprep, what it would have done was it removed all the user data from my machine, and it would have made it like a fresh install of Windows. At that point, I would select my C drive, and I'd say next, and it would, at that point, copy an image of my machine to the server. That's the only step we can't do. So I'd have to wipe out my machine to do it, and I don't feel like totally killing my machine. Okay? So then you just say next and finish, and you're done. That would actually take an image of this client machine, copy it to the server, and then we could deploy from there. So it's very simple to do. It's not hard at all. Just that I can't run sysprep on this, and I can't run our own DHCP server to get it to work. Okay. Actually, now I got to tell my machine to boot normally. Stop. Okay. Power off. Kind of get an idea of what it's supposed to do there, I hope. I'm not going to make you all do it on test or anything. It's just that ours aren't configured for that because it should have been done already. And it's take too much to get all that set up. Alright, I need to go back into here. Now I want to get back to the point where you guys are at. Okay, I need to tell it. Actually, I can. If I go straight to the snapshot, will it remember the BIOS settings? Right.
Snapshots are complete. They usually don't touch the VMX, but I couldn't guarantee anything.
Well, let me just start it. We'll see where it boots up. Then we're going to finish WSUS.
I think snapshots only cover the desktop. So.
Yeah, so let me go in and tell it to boot normally. Yeah, we need to. If you've never messed with the BIOS before, under boot, what I'm doing is I'm hitting plus and minus to move it. This is just the order it's going to boot. I want it to boot to the hard drive first. If you ever have a machine that takes a long time to boot, well, change the order of stuff. Make it go to the hard drive first, or CD-ROM drive, or the network, whichever one you want. But now my machine will boot correctly to the BIOS. And now I'm going to restart it.
So like once you get that image on the server, then the client
clients could just turn on the computer and then it goes straight to it.
Yeah, we would actually push it out to you at that point. It's, well,
To show you,
see, I
to show you
can't-
an example here, let's.
I can't run
because we are running literally a deployment server down the hall. So if I were, this is actually how these machines were done. Initially, you would sysprep a machine like this. So,
if you do, you're going to kill it.
yeah, it will kill it. It'll take away all the user information.
But SysPrep's not on that one, is it?
WDS up and running, huh?
SysPrep's not on that machine, is it?
Chances are not. But this gives them a good physical sense of what is actually happening. So basically, if you have an actual server that you want to do this with, there it is. Is what this is going to do. It's going to come on and we're going to do what's called a pixie boost, network boot.
What your mine just did.
Huh?
That's what mine just did.
Right, it's basically the exact same process. You would sysprep something, it's really easy to do so long as you have the right file. And you would tell it boot from the network controller. And ideally, this is where we've been having network issues, so things are shaky. It'll do this DHCP thing. Your computer is smart enough to know that as soon as it comes on and starts doing a network boot, that hey, I need an IP address to do anything. So it runs out, it says, hey, is there a DHCP server? It runs through the DHCP regiment. And then the DHCP server says, here's your address. Also, if you're interested.
So, let me get this started. Okay. What I would do was, way back when, like with Facebook initially with games, if you installed this toolbar, you could get whatever, Facebook credits or Farmville cash or something. Okay, you could use in games. Well, they would require you, to do this stuff. But I would just use the virtual machine. I would get a snapshot, install all that crap they want, all 47 toolbars, get all these credits, then revert back to a snapshot. They're all gone. And then I play the game, then they come out with some more stuff. Okay, fine. I take another snapshot, install all the crap they want, then revert back to the snapshot because it was perfect. You can do that today. Before you do something, pull a snapshot of your machine if you're running a virtual machine. You can always make a snapshot of it like this. That's literally where we left off in class the other day. Made a snapshot of it, it saved it, and even though I did all this, remember a minute ago I was using WDS and all that other stuff? Well, I removed it. I went right back to where this was. Okay? All right. Now about WSUS. Okay? Hold on a second. Make sure my phone's not exploding. It was funny because, not funny I guess, but my ex-wife's mother died this last week. And my son is on a cruise, but kind of sucks. He can't go to the funeral. So I was teaching class yesterday, and he called me from the cruise ship, and it's like, I wish I'd answered because he was only in port for an hour, and I kind of missed him, and it was about the funeral, which sucked. But, oh well. All right, so when you do this, remember we started it. Now, when you're working with software update services, some of you are here, you might have gone past this section a little bit, that's fine. You can tell it to synchronize with Microsoft Windows Update. You going home already?
I'm going back to the office.
Oh, okay. What this means is Windows Server Update software update services. Can you imagine here at Rose State if every computer on Rose State, whenever it needed an update, it contacted Microsoft? So that means we'd have 500 machines, each making requests off Microsoft, each downloading the same update. What would that do to traffic? It would create a lot of traffic. A better way is to install an update server like we are, so this server contacts Microsoft one time, pulls the updates from Microsoft, but then it hands it out internally. So there's only one request to Microsoft, because really you pay by bandwidth. I don't know if you know that. Internal speed really doesn't matter, it's fast. But you pay by your bandwidth to the internet. Okay? So what you want is you want to get it one time, then internally you can distribute all you want. So what we're asking here is where should we get updates from? Since we're going to be the update server, where should we get it from? Do I want to get it from Microsoft, or do I want to get it from another server? Maybe I work at Tinker, and I'm in the AWACS area. So I have an AWACS update server and a whatever. Let's see, third mob's not even out there anymore, or maybe a 72nd Airbase Wing update server. So you can have multiple servers, okay? Or you think of let's see, maybe like Hertz. Y'all know what Hertz is? Hertz is actually one of the very largest networks in the world. I never knew that, but it is. But maybe you have Hertz Corporate, which pulls from Microsoft. And see, another issue with updates is, do they always work with every operating system? So if Microsoft issues an update today, is there a chance it could cause the system to crash? Definitely. So if you're working with a corporate environment, got important stuff, you want to make sure that update works. So you don't want every client computer in Hertz just grabbing that update from Microsoft. Because what if it's screwed up? iOS 8 came out for the iPhone. Did you all see what happened Friday? They came out with 8.1, 8.01. Did you all see that? They pulled it back within, 4 hours? Because there was an issue with it. It was crashing people's phones. So what they did is they yanked the update. Okay, so what they do with an update server is you can tell one server to contact Microsoft and get the updates, and you can do all the testing. And you can tell your clients to get the information from you, and you can decide when to give it to them. Okay, so if you were running Hertz, you could maybe corporate's going to get the update from Microsoft and test it all. Then they're going to supply it to the North American division, the Asian division, the European division. And then those servers can push it out. So you can actually have one server feeding another server. So the top one's from Microsoft, or we can get it from another update server. Because one update server is fine. But if you have hundreds of thousands of clients, there's no way one update server can handle it. It would kill it. So you could specify, hey, get it from that server wherever. Okay, wherever it's at. So we're just going to say from Microsoft, that's fine. All right. Now, do I want to use proxy settings? What a proxy server is, it's funny because I needed a test pass to get my MCSE. It was Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. And I said, I'll take proxy server. I messed with it. It was actually one of the easiest tests I've ever taken in my life. What a proxy server is. Okay, here at Rose State, we block a lot of stuff. Okay, we don't want we just don't want a lot of crap going on, okay? We don't want students to be able to go to the lab, install BitTorrent, and download whatever. Even though we let you surf porn, which is weird, but okay. So what you can do with a proxy server is you can say, okay, we want to allow port 80 and port 443. Actually, I ran I configured all the wireless networks for Buffalo Wild Wings. And I wanted to make it as secure as possible, but people still give them the ability to surf the web. So free wireless for Buffalo Wild Wings. So what would I allow in? Or what ports? Any ideas?
80 port.
Okay, so I allow 80 so they can surf the web. That's HTTP. That's so they can surf the web, port 80. I said, people might want to go to a secure website, like to log in somewhere. So I need 443. That's HTTPS. So I configured, I did the one in more first. So I did 80 and 443. Nothing worked. Like, what the hell? I mean, I've been teaching this stuff for years, been using it for years. Why wouldn't port 80 and port 443 work? Exactly, I didn't let DNS. So what it was is, I could surf the web all day long, but I couldn't resolve a name. I couldn't type in google.com. Because what happens when you type in a name, it contacts the DNS server and says, hey, what is this Google thing you're talking about? And it resolves it to a number. It's kind of like, you want to call your mom. You don't type in mom. You might type in her name, but that really resolves to a phone number stored on your phone. Okay? That's what DNS does. That's why we're going to cover it, because it's super critical. So what I did is at Wild Wings, I said, I'm an idiot. So I always test with IP addresses. There are certain ones I know. So it wouldn't work with no webs. I typed in an IP and it worked. I'm like, aha. So it works fine with a number, just not a name. So I said it's obviously DNS. So I allowed port 53, which is DNS, TCP 53. It's also UDP, but mainly TCP. And then it was amazing. There we had internet. So it worked perfectly. Then I copied that router config and just put it on all the other Buffalo Wild Wings. And what sucked was they paid me it's like $500 a month or something like that. Each of the Wild Wings location paid me a monthly fee to manage their wireless. I did Moore, Edmond, Stillwater, and no one ever called me. So literally every month I send them a bill, they send me a check. I send them a bill. Out of all the time I took care of them, see, I configured the Moore one first, so that really didn't count. I got one call from Edmond where I just got unplugged. But that was it. I never ever went back to Stillwater or nothing. But every month I send them a bill, they send me a check. So you like that idea? I felt so guilty. I'm like, seriously? They kept sending me a check. So finally I just stopped billing them. I said, I can't continue to do this. I felt so guilty. I'm like, I can't just keep taking money for nothing. So I stopped billing them. So I'm done. But it was like, I just felt bad. Okay. But so the point about proxy servers is, we block a lot of stuff. Okay, Rose State, we have a law program here. And they use something called Westlaw. I don't know if you ever heard of Westlaw. It's like an online law dictionary. Well, it works on port 8080. Okay. And, let me bring this up. Where's my mouse? Okay, like I can connect to dewey.mine.new, which is my house. I'm going to connect that on port 20. Okay, maybe not. Hold on. So I can connect to certain different ports at my house. This is my solar system in my house. So I can actually figure out, okay, right now I'm generating 262 watts of electricity right now. So I have a lot of different ports set up at my house that I can connect in remotely. I can look at my cameras. I can look at all kinds of stuff remotely. But they all use different ports. Okay? What?
Great success. I set up DNS, and then I've set up deployment services.
Now it works.
This should have a image to actually look for sysprep. So we'll find out.
Okay. But, so what a proxy server does, so Rose State blocks everything. But a couple years ago, I needed to enter our application data for the NSA and our certificates we offer, our CNS server certifications. But they were on a specific port. It was some bizarre number like 3205 or something. Rose State's like, we don't want to give the entire world access to that port, or the entire school. So what they did was they went into a proxy server and said, hey, if Ken asks for this, let him have access to it. It's kind of like my NK software downstairs. They said, if Ken asks to connect to the license server for NKs, let him do it. So a proxy server allows you to filter what people do. Think of it like high schools. They block pornography. They block... I taught up at Moore Norman Votech. Not Moore Norman. What's the name of it now? It's up in Stillwater. M something. Can't think of the name. Okay, whatever it is. I taught at Votech up there. I taught an A-plus class. And day one, we're doing all kinds of stuff, and we were doing a web search for something, and instantly the entire room, the internet died. What the hell did we do? Then a few minutes later, someone knocked on the door and came in like, who's surfing whatever it was at that point? We're like, what? Someone typed something wrong. And it was like the word boob or something. And they basically killed the internet. What happens was our machines all went out through an ISA and a proxy server back then. Then that server, it was kind of like you would say, can I have Google, please? And it would go get Google and bring it back and give it to you. Well, you asked for boob. It's like, whoa. So it basically cut our internet off.
That's the story of how I brought down an entire school.
Yes. So proxy servers, I took care of Chapel Supply across town. And it was funny because one of our lead salesmen, his desk was kind of like backwards, so you couldn't see what he was doing. He sold a lot of stuff. But I had them going out to a proxy server because back then the internet cost a lot of money and it was slow. With a proxy server, you can set it up so, say everybody at Rose State wanted to only use one connection. We really all could ask the proxy server because, the odds are we all go to Google. Everybody agree with that? Or back then, MSN. Remember when MSN was the most popular homepage out there? I don't think anybody uses it now. No one uses Bing. What happened is everybody at Chapel Supply would ask the proxy server, then they'd go out and get it. Because I actually, for another company called Taylor Valve Technologies, I did internet for the entire company off a 56K modem. And it worked perfectly. Because they did nothing but UPS and FedEx tracking. So that's great. So everybody would ask the proxy server for FedEx, and it would go out and get it and return it. So it worked out great. So proxy server can be used to really massively cut down your internet traffic. Nowadays, we don't care. We have fast enough internet. But you can ask the proxy server. It can go out on your behalf. You can filter based on it. You can just do all kinds of stuff. Okay. So if we were using a proxy server, here's where we say, hey, go out to this proxy server. Okay. I'm not using one, so I'm going to skip it. Because they're not that much anymore. So I'm going to say start connecting. Or is this the part we stopped at? Okay, I just didn't explain the rest of it very well last time. So I must have did my image before. Oh, it's already done. Okay. Okay. Now, choose languages. You guys get to this part yet? In here, you can specify, hey, I only want Czechoslovakian. Or I only want English. By default, it's going to download all languages. Bad idea. As you can tell, there's lots of languages. If you tell it to download updates in all languages, this top one right there. Okay, I work at Rose State. Okay, the odds of me needing a Japanese version of every update available is 0.
There's no chance.
Okay, so what you need to do is you really need to select the language you want and get just that language. I don't know why they default to that. Probably because they're like, we really can't pick one. Because we have a lot of European clients. We have a lot of Asian clients. So they get all of them. So it sucks. So we want English. Okay. And here is the big deal. Here is the product list. This is where I think I wanted you all to stop. What this list is every product Microsoft has for the most part. Okay. Like it's in here. It gets, all the Office products. Okay. So what you need to do at this point is, my entire organization is running Outlook 2013. So I don't want 2010 or 7 or 3 or blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you unselect those. But this has to be changed all the time. Because Microsoft is always coming out with new products. You're always installing new products. And it was funny because you can do the same thing for McAfee. Okay. You can have an update server just like this for McAfee. Well, I missed it. Okay. And you can say the same thing. Only update McAfee 4.5 or 4.7 or 4.9. And Rose State was way behind. And I had a site license for McAfee because I used it on all my clients. So I just installed a new version in my office. And Rose State freaked out. They're like, well, Ken, you're not getting updates. You're the only computer on Rose State that's not getting updates. I'm like, what? What it was is there was a new version of McAfee out that they didn't feel like installing, so they had unchecked it. So basically they were like running Office 2010 still, an older version of McAfee. When I put on the newer version of McAfee, I was no longer pulling updates from them because they were older than I was, and they were like, you're not getting updates. That's because they weren't supporting the new version because they never went in to the system and said, oh, look, there's a new version of McAfee out there. So it's critical you check this every now and then to make sure you're pulling the latest whatever. Now, if you're not installing Office 2013, fine. Don't install. Like, I think Tinker is only running Office 2010. I don't know if anyone works out there. You might know. I'm pretty sure it's just 2010. So if that's the case, don't pull 13. Or don't pull 7. Just pull 10. But you need to watch because what is everybody running? If there's somebody running an older version of something, you need to make sure you pull updates for it. But you do that for all their products, okay? With the entire thing, do we really need, whatever, Vista? Is anyone running Vista? That kind of stuff, okay?
This control dialog, how did you get to it? Is this still during setup?
Yeah, this is still during setup, yeah.
Okay.
He might have already gone through it all.
Okay.
So if you hit next a bunch of times, it would have already pulled all these.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I left off up here to choose upstream server. You could literally say next, and be done. But I kind of wanted you all to see this screen. But it's kind of critical you do this. And what this means is once I'm done, once I finish this thing, it's going to go to Microsoft. It's going to pull every update for Windows 2000. Every update that ever was made, which is a lot. So you really want to limit it and say, you know what, I don't need the EU browsing choices. I don't need Windows 2000. Nobody's running 8. Whatever, so I want to get rid of that. So you really need to update that stuff. And like this Defender right here, this dictionary updates, you know, are your clients pulling it from you or they're getting it straight from Microsoft? So it really, matters what you, and Windows drivers, that's another thing I'll be very weary of. A lot of times I put Windows updates on and the sound card quits working or the video card quits working. So be wary of pulling drivers. But you can put all this on here. Okay. So you put on exactly what people are doing. Then you're going to click next. Then here's another very important option. We have critical updates. We have definitions. We have security updates and regular updates. And service patches. What they are is you have an update. There's one they also don't list here. It's called a hotfix. You never heard of a hotfix? Well, when Server 2008 came out, no, Server 2003, whatever it was, an older version of the server, I ran it. I ran it as soon as it came out. I needed a new server, so I bought it with a new OS on it. It came delivered with it. And I was running a bunch of websites. Bart Connors, the gymnast who won all the gold medals, Bart Connors, Nadia Comaneci. I did all their websites. Well, I used what's called IP-based hosting. In other words, their website answered via an IP address. They had their own private IP address. They paid me for it. But I also answered by their name, intelgymnast.com. Well, they would actually send someone out to the gymnast stuff all over the world. And they would literally remotely get into the server and update it. So-and-so tripped and broke whatever, fell off the balance beam. So they would update the server. And what sucked is I didn't know this initially. So I'm sitting there at home one day, and all of a sudden my web traffic goes from this to this maximum. All my bandwidth was full. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? I just got hit by something. But there was a gymnast competition they didn't tell me about. So they were literally updating this website every 15 seconds. And there was tens of thousands of people pulling it every 15 seconds. I was like, holy moly. What sucked was they would update the website every 15 seconds. But no one could see the updates for 5 minutes. So I got Bart Connor, who's just paying me some good money. And I have 10,000 people trying to hit it, and they're not seeing the updates. Like, we're making them every 15 minutes. And I'd look at the server, like, yeah, they're here. I see them. So-and-so just tripped. But the clients couldn't get the updates. And you can imagine. Can you imagine watching an OU football game and you can only see something every 5 minutes? Would you be about pissed or what? So they were quite pissed at me. Brand new servers. So I'm freaking out. Luckily, there's not that many gymnast competitions. Obviously, that night was done. I mean, there's nothing I could do. It's at night. They were in Russia or something. It was happening like 2 in the morning. But they said, you got to fix this for the next competition. So I couldn't figure it out. But I was able to reproduce it. I could make an update, and I couldn't see it in my office. I couldn't even see that. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I contacted Microsoft. And they got in. What's cool is when you buy MSDN Academic Alliance from them, like Rose State has, I bought it from my company. You get a free support call, which is worth $250, which is worth it. So they got in remotely, and they were in there for 3 months. Literally, Microsoft was in my servers nonstop for 3 months. Day in and day out. They're like, you're right. We can reduce this, and can't fix it. Well, they contacted me about 3 months later. They've been working on it this whole time. Every time I try to go to my server, so-and-so from Microsoft is connected. I was like, oh, crap. So I go in there, and they're like, okay, they actually copied my server. They're able to reproduce the results. They're like, what the hell's going on? They couldn't figure out what the problem was. So they go, okay, we're going to try one more thing. And they fixed it. Like, thank God. And then what they did was they came out with a hot fix that was just made for Ken Dewey. What that means is it was tested on Ken Dewey's server only. It's going to work with my configuration. They haven't tested with all 87 bazillion copies of server. They just know it works for Ken Dewey. What the problem was, I was hosting their website via IP address and name, which is totally fine. They never thought anybody would do that. They said you're either going to host by IP address or by name. I'm like, you got the option in there. Well, we never figured anybody would use it. Like, what? Because the moment I disabled one of them, it worked. I was like, why? Because what it was is the people updating it knew the IP address, so they would connect in via the IP. I don't know why they just did. The client's viewing would connect via the name, so I had to have both of them. But once they fixed that, it was like, ta-da! But they literally made a fix just for Kindui, and big old, when they installed it, they're like, warning, this is only tested on this specific configuration. Do not distribute to anybody. That's why it's not listed here. Then what they did is once the fix was tested and proven, then they roll it into an update. Then I'm assuming everybody sooner or later got the fix. And then you take all these updates and they get rolled in what's called a service pack, which is a bunch of fixes together. You might have, Windows 8.1 or Service Pack A or whatever the heck it is. So then you have a service pack. So you can tell this, download critical updates, that stuff that, hey, you need to fix now. You can do security updates, which is updates related to security, not just other stuff. You can also do definitions. That's like antivirus, Microsoft's Defender, that kind of stuff. You can update drivers. You can just update or you can just get all updates. Yeah. But you got to remember, there's tons and tons and tons of them. So if we had selected Windows 2000 back then, that would be every update that was ever released for Windows 2000. And there's a lot of them. So you got to be careful what you select, okay? Then you say next. Now, then you have an option to synchronize manually or automatically, okay? Automatically, you can go once per day, as you can see down here, twice a day, once a week, whenever you want to do it, okay? If you do it, I would recommend setting it for like 3 in the morning. But Microsoft actually releases at a certain time, it's like Tuesdays or whatever the heck the day is. You can get it to pull right after that, okay? But normally what most places do is they say manually. And that way you tell it when to happen. That way you know what's going on. You can do it at a load. But you can do it either way, okay? And then I'm not going to click that button. I wish you guys wouldn't either. Because literally all of us would now be contacting Microsoft and pulling all these updates, and it would just... I've done it before when I taught this, and it literally took days for all this stuff. Because, they selected a lot of stuff, and then we still had a lot of Windows versions selected. We had some Office versions. So you can imagine we're going to have gigs and gigs of data being downloaded at this point. Okay?
If you really want to go through the capture wizard, I finally got it to come on.
Oh, you want to show it on this screen then?
That's fine.
Okay, 1 second here. So, but if I click that and click finish, it will literally start downloading from Microsoft. Then what I would do is I go into group policy, which we're going to look at in a couple weeks. And in your client machines, they normally pull from Microsoft. You would go into group policy, which we'll look at, and you tell it, don't pull from Microsoft, pull from this machine here. So then the clients at that point would no longer contact Microsoft, they would contact me. And whichever updates I release and I get is what the clients would get. Okay? Because once I get all these, which I don't want to get them because it literally would take hours. Okay? Yes, I want to cancel it. Once I get them, I can go in properties and tell which ones to approve. I want to do this one, I want to do this one. So it's really simple. I just don't want to download them all because it will literally take till next class period. And we don't have the hard drive space to store them all. Okay? So everybody got an idea how that works? It's really pretty simple. It's really, really pretty simple. Okay, Roy, we got a couple minutes. Actually, we got like 4 minutes.
It's a machine under test, V-test, and then...
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
Test. This one?
Yep.
V-test.
Capture machine.
Open this one up?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
This is basically the capture after it's been sysprep. It took me like 3 times to actually get it because apparently I'm bad at hitting the F.
Okay, there it is. This is where I was at before. Remember, I didn't have the volume option? Remember, I didn't have volume because I didn't run sysprep. Again, if you want to, well, I can't show you this now, but it's under Windows System 32 sysprep. That's where the program is. But if you run it, it's going to wipe your machine. It's going to remove all your configuration. So I don't recommend doing it. But in here, I can say, this is Ken's image, Ken whatever. Okay, I can say next. Okay, and I could store it somewhere. Where do I want to store this? I want to put it on D drive. Say Ken. All right, upload to deployment server if I want. If I upload to deployment server, it's literally going to list it on that list he was showing you over there. I can specify the server name. And actually, if I uncheck that, I should be able to say next. What this is going to do is going to pull an image of this machine. It's going to actually, I shouldn't store it on itself, should I? That'd be weird. Pull an image and store it on yourself. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
We'll just say, well, yeah, let's try it. Let's see. All it can do is not work. You say next. Now what it's doing is it's pulling an image of itself and storing it on itself. So this might be one of those round robin type issues. We might be stuck here. Okay. So, but that's, and then this image will be available, and then we can just pull it down to other machines. But it is super handy. I mean, because if you have to go out and install, something on every machine, that would suck. But you do it on one machine, pull the image just like we did here, and then you're good. Okay. We're basically out of time for today. I do have all the lectures and all the assignments for the other stuff. I will put them up there, and we'll do that next time. So I update the schedule, so we're kind of going to follow that, so you get an idea of what we're going to be doing. Okay. So everybody I don't know how it's going to pull it from itself anyway, but how big is this image? Pretty large?
It was just a standard 2012 image, so honestly I had no idea.
Okay. So it could take a while to go. All right. So let me stop this.